What's going on, guys? I go by Only My 2 Cents, and today we're going to go over the coloring workflow simplified. So this is a way to kind of get everyone into the, I would say, the simplest way to look at a picture and know what direction to go and take whenever it comes to coloring. So right now, if you guys can see on here, I do have this piece right here by Koter.ink. This guy is so dope. Actually, I'm gonna write his name right here so you guys can know who he is. So right there, Koter.ink is such a dope artist, and because this is gonna be a coloring tutorial, I just grabbed one of his line work so we can practice on. You guys can do that as well. I'll show you guys, even if you guys go to the Google and look up any outline that you guys like. And again, this is not to claim as your own. This is only for practice. Just keep that in mind. And it's just for your educational purposes. So you can grab one of these images, put them on your Photoshop, Procreate if you guys have that as well. And you guys can start drawing. Some of these images, this one's pretty cool. Some of these images do have a white background. So for example, this one that I have right now, it is a white background. And so if I were to draw, let me see if I can draw on here. So if I were to try to color, you're going to notice that it's coloring over the image. And if I bring this underneath the actual drawing, again, if I draw on here, you're not going to be able to see anything because of the white background. So a little trick that you guys can do is click the layer that has the actual picture and go where it says normal. This is the blend types. Go and put multiply. And what multiply will do is essentially you're going to be able to only keep the outlines, all the black outlines on there. So now layer 1 is actually underneath, and that actually shows through the picture. So that's what we're going to be using. We're going to be using our actual picture, set that to multiply, so we'll be able to color and only keep the outlines. And let's get started. So first things first, I am going to go ahead and create a layer underneath the drawing, not over it. And what we're going to do is we're going to color what's called your local colors. So for example, if his shirt is red, then we're going to color that the red that we want. It's no variant of like darker red, brighter red, just that one flat color. So let's go ahead and get started. Since I was speaking on his jersey, I'm going to grab red. Make this big. So I can go on here and start coloring. And because it is just a one color, I don't have to worry about too much detail. I just want to make sure that it is solid on here. And if I get out of the lines, I'll come back to it in a few. But I just want to try to fill in this as much as possible. Alright. Cool deal. So that is done. Now I can go on here, erase some of the little areas that I went over. Alright, make this that whole color. So even though the inner area of the shirt is the jacket, whatever he's wearing, is going to be a little bit darker, I'm still coloring it red because no matter if it's in shadow or not, the color of it is red. Alright, now we're going to go into the shirt. I like to separate my colors, so every color that I have will be separate. It's going to be more organized, and also whenever I erase, it doesn't erase the other color or anything like that. Alright, so I'm going to create a new layer because I'm moving to a different color. So let's do his face. So his face will be like so I'm going to do the outside a little brown, I guess. A little bit more darker than that. There we go. So again, I'm not trying to go super detailed or worry too much about getting everything in the right spot. I just want to make sure that this is filled in, and then I can go back and erase anything that is out of the lines. But my whole goal is just to make sure that this guy is filled in. So there we go. Cool deal. So I'm going to leave his chin and his snout out because usually that tends to be a little bit brighter. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, super quick, super quick. Alright, so the cool thing is because I'm going to create a new layer, I don't have to worry about erasing so much on his face. So I am going to go just a little bit lighter. I mean, might be a little bit. There we go. I don't want it to be too bright. There we go. And again, I'm not worried about shadows or anything like that at the moment. Just trying to get these flats. Alright. So again, it's like literally it's gonna feel like you're coloring a coloring book, and that's exactly what you're doing. Think of it just like coloring a coloring book, and the cool thing about the way that I'm gonna teach you is just a simple way that you can approach every coloring thing that everything that you're gonna color going forward. Actually, this thing, when I started doing this, it changed my whole perspective. And it made it so much easier. Especially because I didn't start with digital. I started with the traditional way of just pencil, you know, and I didn't have so much of a workflow like this. But this makes it much easier. All right. Cool beans. Oh, his ear. There we go. Ear. There we go. All right. Cool. Now let's go ahead and do the mouth. So let's do some. Oh, that's too bright. Let's go a little bit lower than that. There we go. All right. Should have done these a little bit yellow, but just for this sesh. All right. I try to stay away from white, by the way. White and pure black. Just so I can add more value on here. All right. I think I messed up. So, one mistake that I just did here is I forgot to create a new layer for the mouth, which is fine. Just make sure you keep that in mind. Doing separate layers for everything is going to make your workflow so much easier. But you have to remember. All right, so let's go ahead and do the... That's too bright. There we go. And it still might be a little bit too bright for my liking. Do that for the gum. I'm gonna do a little bit more darker for this. More red, actually. There we go, that's better. So I'm not worrying about drawing over the teeth or anything like that, because with layers I can actually rearrange them. So if I put them down, the teeth will go forward, making it easier on me and making it easier on you, because this is the whole point you guys are learning this, is because of workflow like that. Knowing those little things can help you on different situations or just the workflow in general. All right, so let's do the eyes. And again, I try to stay away from pure white and pure black. So let's do this one here. I don't even know if that, yeah, that's his eye. Okay, cool. And there it is. Our flats are pretty much done. Again, without shadow anything like that. And what I like to do is I like to group everything that I had just created, make a folder, and I call it flats. At that point, I create a new layer. And still underneath the line work, right? And I just noticed that, look at that. Big difference. I just noticed that I didn't clean the hair, so let me go ahead and zoom in, clean the hair out real quick. So I go to my hair layer, and now I can go in here and erase some of these little areas. Again, I'm not going to make it crazy perfect, because, again, I just wanted to make a quick video so you guys can get to know the workflow. So, all right, that's good enough. Let me see. There we go. All right. That looks cool. All right, before I go forward, let me go ahead and create a background color. So, I'm thinking maybe like an orange or something. Yeah, let's see how this comes out. So because I made it underneath the flats, it's going to create the layer behind what I just drew, which makes it much easier. And I have to worry about being clean, and that's what layers helps you out with. All right, perfect. And there it is. Huge difference on here. So let's go ahead and bring that to life. So off of the outlines that Koter.ink did, you're gonna notice that, you're going to notice that he actually already singled out where the shadows are going to be. Like these areas, this area, all in the bottom. Everything that he etched out right here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and follow that guidance. So whenever I put my shadow in. So I created a new layer underneath my outline layer. And here's the trick. I am going to go with a dark purple. And I'm going to set that to multiply. And check this out. So now I'm going to go in here and start building my shadows based off the pencil guideline. So obviously all this is going to be in shadow right here in the corner. And again, I am just doing adding some shadows. And this is, take your time here, because the thing about shadows, you're going to probably add a few of them, not just one layer of shadows. There's different, some shadows are super dark. Some shadows are very faint. So again, take your time. There's no rush on this process. I'm just trying to at least get some there we go. It's going to be a little bit thinner because it has more hair strands. All right. And again, so just in your image, if you did your own outline, that's going to be more easier for you because you already know where your shadows are going to be. But if you're just practicing and using someone else's outline, again, some of these do have, look for the bolder lines, or you can create, if there's no shadow given away in the actual pencil drawing, go ahead and create your own light source, and at that point you can kind of customize it to your liking. All right. And because this is a separate layer, you can always erase, which is my favorite thing to do. Erasing and undoing. So all this bottom is going to be shadows. All right. All this area is going to be shadows too. And just a heads up for people that know me or don't know me, I'm always down to help. So if you guys have some questions, go ahead and write them in the comments, and I will show you guys the best that I can. All right. I'm almost done, so. All right. Look at that. I love working on shadows because I get lost in the sauce. I get I get lost in doing all the little shadows that I forget how dope it's gonna look until I not zoom out, but until I take a step back and actually get to appreciate the whole damn thing. All right. So look at that. This is just the shadows themselves. Let me go uncheck it. Boom. From flats to shadows. It adds so much dimension. Oh my god, I love this thing. All right. And you notice that my shadows are pretty dark. So if I really wanted to, I can change the opacity, and I usually do. I'll bring it down just a tad bit so I can make them more subtle. And yeah. All right. Next step. This is going to be, so we already have our shadows. Now we're going to add our highlights. So obviously, if you have a shadow, there's going to be a light source. So this is going to be usually like I pick like a very bright, kind of close to white yellow. And then I set that guy to overlay. And same thing that we were doing earlier, but this time we're going to go the opposite way. So instead of creating the shadows, we're going to go ahead and highlight the areas that light is hitting. So we'll go from here. Bring that just a little bit. And so what overlay does, it brightens up any color underneath it. So for example, on this one we do have brown, so it's kind of giving it like a very bright mixture of light brown with our yellow highlight. And don't worry about being too bright, because obviously right now it does look a little bit too bright. We can always change the opacity, so just make sure that you hit those highlight areas. And that's all we care about right now. Getting, because this is gonna do, what this is gonna do is gonna create some dimension in your drawing. All right, and notice that I am using a variety of sizing when I use this brush, because again, some larger areas do have a larger glare. All right, I think this looks pretty good. That looks all right. I'll add a little bit here, not too much, because obviously some sunlight's not hitting this area. All right, so now I'm gonna uncheck it so you guys can see the difference. Look how big of a difference we made from flats, adding shadows, adding highlights. And again, same as shadows, I bring these down just a tad bit to kind of make them more subtle. I'm gonna actually take this a little bit in a higher notch to kind of have your drawing go to a different level with something so simple. So this was gonna be a little bit different. So I'm actually, everything that we've done so far, we've actually done underneath the drawing. This one I'm gonna do on top of it. And what I'm gonna do is I am gonna go and add my what I call super highlights, and those are gonna be the areas that really like light really hits. So for example, I'm gonna stop talking and show you guys. So I'm actually gonna go over the black line that is in my outline and create my super highlights. And again, my whole purpose with this is just to kind of pinpoint where the light is hitting really harsh. And the cool thing about whenever you do this, because you're painting over the picture, you can create your own line work at that point. So if you want to add a little bit more detail, you guys can. And it just adds so much more to your drawing. And again, you're just only getting the areas that light is really hitting. You can even have some flares flicking out there to kind of make it look like it's messy. Some little hairs right here. I'm gonna take this whole thing out. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. The next level with a simple tip like that. Look at that. Ah, so dope. So dope. So again, recap real quick. I'm gonna uncheck everything. we had our outline. We turned that into multiply. Only do that if you do have white on your picture. That will go ahead and remove it. Well, it won't remove it, but it'll let you color underneath it. Then we did our flats. Again, the flats are going to be the color of something without the shadow and highlight. So just a pure color. I added a background just to kind of get a little bit of contrast back there. After that, we did our shadows. And the shadows have to be on top of the flats. Remember that, on top of the flats. And it has to be set up to multiply. So this has to be, I can't zoom in there. It has to be set up to, the blend mode has to set up to be multiply. Then we're going to add our highlights, and our highlights are set up to be overlays. And the finishing super highlights are going to be on top of our actual outline, because we are actually drawing on the black itself. And that one's set to normal. We don't change anything. And that's usually where the pinpoint of the light source there. Look at that. Cool. So with that, again, guys, this is the workflow that it's going to be easier that I adapted. And I hope you guys learn from it. If you do have any questions or get stuck anywhere, please write a comment down below. If you guys want to follow me, go ahead and follow me on Instagram, only my 2 cents with the number 2. And with these number 2s, I'm going to call it a day. All right, y'all. Peace.